American Communications Online Broadcast Publishing Company. Thurmond Morris Associates. Artists, authors, consultants, web developers. We are creators and enjoy researching daily in cyberspace. We are on the internet highway with both audio and video. We appreciate Apple, Android. We share Teams, Microsoft and Google. We share Facebook and Twitter social media. Shares ACO Association. ACO Club is operated by TJ Morris Agency. TJ Morris ET. Is Theresa Jeanette Thurmond Morris. We ET humanoid sentient intelligent beings approve of Ascension Age. We began with an interest in God as absolute with a big G. God, the absolute, has always been. God has always been. We as teachers are also known as students of life in this 3D reality. We cherish time in a life form of a humanoid. Being born is an honor and a privilege. We hope to make the world a better place. Time, space, and gravity are conscious connections to us. We are sharing our collective conscious. We also acknowledge each of us as a separate unit. It privileges us each to learn how to navigate through space and gravity for our own growth and learning. Join TJ Morris ET radio shows for conversations and be a part of her future and ours. Ascension Center Ohana. TJ Morris Agency. TJ Morris Club. ACO Club. ACIR Radio. ACO Radio Club. American Communications Online. UAP, Associates. https://americancommunicationsonline.com. We are sharing our opinions and views by writing ebooks. Sample, Consulting Business. Risk-taking and demographic risk 2021 to 2040. Asset management is peaking, and it is okay to trade and invest. However, we have to look at the ebbs and flows in demographics, and this tells us where the growth will happen based on age. Our post-global financial prices have instrumentation in financial markets. We have to have global participation and focused on Main Street and not just Wall Street for the entire world to recover. We must have mass employment on infrastructure and working with and not against Mother Nature. A global reset for the entire world will begin one world with 9 zones as we do in communications and flow of information. Information is key to the entire world's revitalization and motivation. All continents which are separated by the oceans are about sustainability. The oil and gas sectors must learn to graduate into a more sustainable way of renewable resources. Across nations we can be zoned across nations by space zones and cyberspace. Prior to 2020 and COVID-19, we had an influence that was phasing out such as wood, oil, and gas. Now, we are a work in progress, and our new nuclear cold fusion and thorium power which comes from the Earth working with molten salt. Hydrogen projects are medium and long term, but we have to invest in electric and hydrogen fuel cell and powered aircraft. This is assisting us in the next 5-year projects. Food, water, clothing, shelter, healthcare, and currencies are all required. It requires many locations of public transportation to and from work. The currency movements work at 2 different levels. Now is to cut interest rate to 0 and the main investment is usually interest rates. However, we are going into cyberspace cryptocurrencies and this will assist in currency markets in the developed work and world. In emerging markets, we shall have some sharp resets with cutting interest rates with taking risks in emerging markets such as Argentina and South America. Currencies do play a role in our future with our debt burdens which we will all need to reset at 0 and begin again globally in 2021 future currencies as one economic reset. The cooperation of all nations and locations of humanoid sentient intelligent being species. We are sharing technologies now and we appear to be in a Cold War situation and a matter of national security. Corporations become appropriated and in the last 30 years. We have to look at how much can we all cooperate and restrict from space. There is now the knowledge of Space Force and moving onto the Moon and Mars as a catalyst for moving forward. Inequality to education, work skills, and setting up a new normal for those who simply cannot work due to disabilities, illness, and/or family burdens of hereditary states in physical ailments. Baby boomer generations and pension programs will now have to look at participating in the information sharing and be able to earn some income from the enormous inflationary environment in the 1980s. Much of this was driven by demographics. Now, we have seen lobbyists and corporations situated as government contractors share in the overall decisions of our nation states. Demographics and consumption and government policy have assisted us in the past with credit. The credit boom took off and the baby boomers stopped saving and began using credit, and the consumption movement was peaking but ended in 2008. I lost my pension and house, and then had to retire with nothing by 2017. The minimum was in 401k and IRA, and we now have to figure out how to replenish our old ways while building new ways. Too few millennials to afford the old way of credit and pension systems, so we now have to define something new in our global reset for economic growth and infrastructure. The old schemes of Ponzi schemes is over, and the chart of baby boomers are going up through 2030. So, global reset is a new chart for all of us, in a way, for the internet highway. The average person is retiring now, and Americans may decide they have to work longer and cannot afford to retire. So, we now have solutions for we must participate with younger folks, and now we have too much debt and not enough savings. Average pension in the USA is 23k a year. The average disposable income 44k a year. The median is about 51k. Benefits 40k and needs 45k, so not savings but out of consumption. So we used to save bonds, 24k, 270k stocks, home 300k, old age 120k. Well, that was pipe dreams which started dwindling in our network in 2001. Now 4k if we can save at all, 45k pension funds, and no retirement funds in 2020. Life expectancy is rising, so life expectancy is trending higher, and this is good for our healthy generations, and our retirement date will be extended to age 67 to 70 years. Our physical bodies cannot plan on reaching the age 70 until we can all eat better, and our physical bodies will have to stretch the motivation against excellent health to remain in the new plan in cyberspace. Many of the humanoids who have been born in 2030 will be living in space, so we will need the caregivers and stewards on Earth. We will be mining minerals on Earth, on the Moon, and on Mars. We will all have to restructure our rising risks while we learn during this race to space.